My name is Patrick Valentine. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is where I play my games. Even talk about wrestling. Even talk about anime. I can't get no satisfaction. Hell yeah! Completing every game to 100%, even if it means it'll be very tough. Get to the end. I will push hard to reach the end, even if it may seem tough. Complete the game. It doesn't matter what I play, I will achieve victory. No, you will see my gaming prowess that will take me to the end. Yes, it doesn't matter what I play, I will push my limits. You will see me reach to the very end. Yes, welcome to my channel. My gaming skills will take me to the end. AEW Grand Slam has come to a close. This is going to be me immediately giving my thoughts following the event. The event started at 10:30 p.m. Australia time. And so, I am here to give you guys my thoughts on the entire card. There were only a total of 5 matches on the whole card overall. And so, I'm going to be giving you guys my thoughts on the entire show. There was going to be a video I was going to post up at some point, but I will mention this now since it's on my mind. I saw AEW post their merchandise store, and my god, their merchandise was really very expensive. I will tell you that much. It was super expensive. It really was. It was super expensive, and yeah, there was like shirts like $50, and even like the AEW Championship belts. Like it's just like a freaking replica belt, and it's like $850. Like, what are you doing, Tony? Like, come on, Tony Khan, what are you doing? Like, why are you making like all your stuff so expensive? But yeah, like a lot of this expensive stuff. Even things like hats and even the program book will probably be expensive, but you know, kind of makes me glad I didn't go now, because then it would mean we'd have to spend a lot of money just to get the things we want. Anyway, so 5 matches, and I'm going to be running through them all right now. So the first match was Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega taking on the Don Callis family of Kyle Fletcher and Konsuke Tashita. I'm sorry if I spelled his name wrong. And it was a very good tag team match. It was a very competitive and long tag team match, but ultimately, Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega would take home the victory. They ended up pinning the Tashita. I don't mean to say it like that, but you guys know. But yeah, pretty weird to say these Japanese names, but yeah. Konosuke, that's the guy they ultimately pinned, and Kyle Fletcher was protected, and as he should have. It was the right guy to pin. Kyle Fletcher taking the loss there would have been, getting pinned would have not looked pretty good for him, but overall, it was still a fun little tag team match. And I mean, seeing Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega in Australia would definitely been a treat for a lot of Australians. Mercedes Moné taking on Harley Cameron for the TBS Championship, and Mercedes got booed really badly. She got booed really badly. The crowd were behind Harley Cameron. This match was by far one of my favorite matches on the card. I was really much looking forward to this. Mercedes Moné really made Harley Cameron look like a star out there. She did a great job in looking after Harley. She was selling her ass off for Harley. Harley even gave her a Canadian Destroyer for a close 2 count. It was just a really close match overall. Really enjoyed it. It was so much fun. If you have not seen it, go check it out. It's such a fantastic match. I really recommend this matchup to those who haven't seen it. Mercedes is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. Like, as much as you want, like, people only hate Mercedes now because she's not in WWE anymore. As soon as she goes back to WWE, all the people that talked shit about her are going to become fans of her. That is just the typical IWC and how people go in the landscape of the IWC. And Harley Cameron is not buried. Because I know I've already seen a lot of people say she's buried. She's not buried. Harley Cameron got a standing ovation after the match. The crowd really loved it. The crowd really loved it, and the fans in Brisbane gave Harley a standing ovation after the match. It was such a fantastic match. You need to go watch it. It was really good. By far, Harley Cameron's best match, and hopefully this leads into bigger and better things for Harley Cameron going forward, and hopefully this means she gets featured more often and wins more often. I never once believed Mercedes was going to lose. I never really once believed Mercedes was going to lose. And I never really believed Harley was going to win. But it was still a great match regardless, and I really enjoyed it. It was a fantastic match. We get the Death Riders. I called them Death Raiders last time. My apologies. Jon Moxley, the AEW Heavyweight Champion, and Claudio, formerly known as Cesaro, took on Edge and Jay White in a Brisbane Brawl. Basically, a no disqualification match. That's basically all this was. It was just a no disqualification match. Because it's like, well, hey, we gotta be creative. Because, we're in Australia, I suppose. But hey, I mean, this was cool for my brother. I mean, like, my brother wanted to see Edge. I know it was cool for him. All I'm gonna say, it was cool for him. And Jay White is really good. I think Jay White is really good. He is really good. Obviously, I know Claudio is good. Formerly known as Cesaro. We already know how incredible Claudio is. And Jon Moxley is also really good, as we've already talked about. I really don't like the new name they gave Edge. It just calls him Cope, the Rated R Superstar Cope. But I guess he just didn't want to use his real name. I mean, like, I would have much rather him use his real name than just give him, like, a silly name like Cope. I mean, like, but again, he didn't copyright, he didn't trademark his name Edge, so it's whatever. But regardless, the Death Riders win this match. Jon Moxley and Claudio get the win here via technical submission. I don't know how you guys feel about this one. I believe some people thought maybe Edge and Jay White was going to win this, but again, I think they're building up the Death Riders as like this dominant faction, and whenever you have a faction, you really want to build them up as a dominant force instead of treating them like a bunch of weaklings. But overall, I did not mind this match. I mean, like, I'm not the biggest fan of Edge, obviously. I'm not the biggest fan of Edge anymore, usually. I was never really a fan of him back in his prime, but, I did appreciate his matches back then. But nowadays, I just don't really care for him. But hey, it was a fine match. I got nothing bad to say. Jay White is fantastic. And, it was a really fun little tag team. No disqualification match. And AEW is also really good when it comes to their hardcore matches. So, yeah, I've got no complaints. Next up is the match that I was really looking forward to. Kazuchika Okada taking on Buddy Matthews, also known as Buddy Murphy for those who watched him in WWE. I can't say his first name, so I'm just going to, because I just botched it, I'm just going to call him Okada going forward. Okada is the Continental Champion. This was for the Continental Championship, and I actually looked it up that there was only been 2 Continental Champions. I thought this was their version of the Intercontinental Championship, which I kind of find funny because the name is Continental. They just took the word Inter out and just said, right, since WWE has the rights to Intercontinental, we'll just take out the word Inter and just call it the Continental. But hey, you know what, I just think it's pretty funny that they just took out half of a word of a belt. But regardless, this match was fantastic. This match was fantastic. This was the one match I was expecting an Australian to win. It's Australia's best Buddy Matthews against Japan's best Okada. I've heard a lot of great things about Okada, and I was not disappointed with Okada here. Really fun match. I apparently heard Rhea Ripley was at the show supporting Buddy Matthews because, I mean, come on, it makes sense. She's Australian just like him. So, of course, it's not going to be that big of a shock that she went back home to Australia to support him, because she's not doing anything for the Elimination Chamber, so she might as well just, come back to Australia for a bit and just, support her husband. I am very disappointed about this outcome, though. I will say, unlike the one with Harley Cameron, that I knew she really wasn't going to win, this one I was super disappointed in, because I fully believed Buddy Matthews really should have won this match. This is the one a result I don't really agree with. Buddy Matthews really should not have lost this match. I think Okada, because I actually checked that Okada's been champion for 330 days, and I was just like, this really should have been the time they had Okada lose the championship, because I just think Buddy Matthews was the right guy to beat Okada. I mean, like, friggin' Bronson Reed beat Okada, apparently, when he was still in Japan, apparently. And I'm like, well, if Bronson Reed can beat him, then why the hell Buddy Murphy can't either? But overall, it was a really good match. Both guys really beat the hell out of each other. The one big key thing to really put out in all of this is that Okada literally had to cheat to beat Buddy Matthews. He had to low blow him in his Matthews in order to take advantage and ultimately win the match. So, it wasn't clean. Hopefully this is something they can take advantage of and continue to have Buddy Murphy chase to eventually win the Continental Championship. But hey, Okada successfully retained, and yeah, it was a match it wasn't the result I wanted, but considering Kyle Fletcher, Harley Cameron, and Buddy Murphy ultimately lost, I started to think to myself, surely does this mean Toni Storm will take down the Glamour Mariah May? And that's the match we're about to talk about now. Timeless Toni Storm returning home to Australia to take on the Glamour Mariah May. Mariah May, man, my God, is she one of the most... She's got to be easily one of the most attractive women AEW have, man. She is really, really gorgeous. I mean, other than that, she's a really good wrestler as well, man. She's so darn good. Timeless Toni Storm and Mariah May have really begun their feud's amazing. This feud between Toni Storm and Mariah May is easily the best thing about AEW right now. It's easily the feud that is literally carrying the AEW women's division. Mercedes and Harley has also been a great feud. So I definitely think the women's division right now is definitely carrying AEW really hard. And I'm also happy that the women main evented. This was the correct match to have main event. Mariah and Toni had a fantastic match. I mean, they had a great match in London. They had a great match in London, and they had a great match here. And just like in London, where Mariah May defeated Toni Storm in her home country to win the AEW Women's World Championship, the same thing happens here with Timeless Toni Storm. Timeless Toni Storm makes history and becomes the first woman to hold the AEW Women's Championship 4 times as she dethrones the Glamour Mariah May with a Storm Zero and becomes the champion for the 4th time. I mean, like, this is something you just... This is just something you just cannot replicate. Just giving Toni Storm this kind of moment in Australia was fantastic, and it was great for her. I do think Mariah May is going to win the title back at some point. I do think Mariah is going to win the title back at some point. Because, again, it just makes a lot of sense. I think it makes a lot of sense for Mariah to probably win it back at some point. Maybe, I don't know what their WrestleMania is. I don't know what AEW's WrestleMania is. But whatever it is, maybe Mariah and Toni go at it again there, and they have like a third match, and the third match decides their feud. And maybe you have Mariah May defeat Toni Storm there. I will say, I am kind of surprised they had Toni Storm dethrone Mariah May here. Like, to me, I think a lot of people really thought it was a given that Mariah was going to win. I think a lot of people believed Mariah was going to win the match here. I think a lot of people really believed Mariah was going to win. But, yeah, that's why I was confident that Buddy Murphy would be the Aussie that would win. But, I guess, they were just like, well, hey, Toni and Mariah are like the best thing going, so we may as well just have Toni Storm win. And I know people that do, and I know a certain people do not like the previous champion who dropped the belt to somebody wins the title back. So I know there are going to be a few people upset about that who do not like seeing the previous champion win the title back after they dropped the title to somebody else. So I know those people aren't going to be happy with this result, but you know what? It's whatever. But overall, it was great. I think Mariah May will... I think Mariah should win the title back at some point. I do think she will win it back at some point. And Mariah May's title reign ends at 174 days. Her reign ends at 174 days. And it was a very impressive title reign. That's a really good first title reign for Mariah May. I think it's a really good first title reign, and I think it really proves she's going to be a star in the making. And I really look forward to seeing what's going to happen next. So, yeah, that's the show. That is AEW Grand Slam Australia. And I really enjoyed the show. I thought it was great. And, yeah, Toni Storm's now the first ever 4-time AEW Women's Champion, and of all time, and if anyone deserves that honor, it's Toni Storm. She's easily one of the best. She's easily the best thing about AEW right now. Easily the biggest star in Australia, and I'm very, very proud. Very proud of Toni. I'm not just proud of Toni, I'm also proud of Buddy Murphy, Harley Cameron, and Kyle Fletcher for all their performances. Fantastic match. So, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.